Hi there. We're super excited today. I'm going to talk with Gunnar Morling, who is one of our Flink Forward program committee members for the Berlin event coming up this year in October. So hi Gunnar, it's really exciting to chat with you. First to kick off, could you tell me a little bit about your background and how your experience with Apache Flink today?
Yeah, sure. So thank you so much for having me. Super excited to be here, to be on the program committee. Really looking forward to the conference. So yes, as you mentioned, I am going to be a member of the program committee for this year's Flink Forward in Berlin. And right now I work as a software engineer at Decodable, where we built a software as a service, a SaaS platform for Apache Flink. So that's what we do there. And I help with building this platform, and I also help with doing outreach, like, doing conference talks, writing blog posts, doing videos, this kind of stuff. And well, I got into all of this because before I joined Decodable, like roughly 18 months ago, I was at Red Hat. And at Red Hat, I used to lead the Debezium project, which is a very widely and popular widely used and popular tool for change data capture. So it's about getting change events out of a database into all kinds of sync systems. And well, Apache Flink and Flink CDC has tight integration with Debezium to ingest those change events into stream processing pipelines. And so, this all explains a little bit my involvement with Flink and also the program committee.
Awesome. That's really exciting stuff. As someone who's been involved in talks and yeah, obviously with your experience and wealth across the industry, could you talk me through a bit about common pitfalls or mistakes you've observed in conference talk proposals and how applicants can avoid them?
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, where to start? So there's, to be honest, I don't think it's that hard to get a nice conference abstract, but there's also a surprising number of easy things to get wrong. So for instance, it could just be way too short. So some people just put like one sentence or two sentences, and it's just not enough, right? On the other hand, maybe people just go way too long. It's like half of a page of abstract, and nobody is gonna read it. So there's just a basic practical question of hitting the right length. And I would say generally it helps if you take the position of somebody who reads this abstract, right? So if you are at this conference and you read this abstract, would this interest you? Would this be a talk you would like to see? So this is, I think, the question or the right angle to look at this, in my opinion. And well, I think the best way to answer that then is you should, well, describe a problem and be very explicit how you would solve this problem and also what people will learn by attending this talk, right? In a sense, it's about selling your talk. So they will invest those 30 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever the length is, and you would like to sell it to them so they come to your talk and not to others. And I think that's the key for writing a good abstract.
Awesome. Oh, good stuff. And in terms of ensuring like a conference plan reflects a very broad range of diversity, perspective, range, and topics, how do you mark that? Because as I understand, the topics you get in, they're all anonymous as well. So just ensuring that getting that right spread of different topics. So what's some tips there?
Right. Yeah, I think the key for us will be to, well, tap into as many backgrounds and contexts of talks, I would say, right? So I think even if it is anonymous, you would see, okay, this probably is a talk from somebody who works within the Flink project itself, because they talk about the implementation, maybe they talk about the a Flink implementation improvement proposal. So we would like to have some of those. Then you will have, talks from practitioners who talk about their experience from running Flink. Maybe you will have somebody who, just describes this in terms of a use case perspective. So I think just getting a variety of those topics and how people talk about Flink, I think this should be key for us to build a good agenda.
Oh, nice stuff. And so just in terms of building that agenda, are there any exciting developments or use cases kind of upcoming in Apache Flink used in the industry today, or, something that you might be expecting to see within these trends?
Right. I mean, so just coming back to my own context, I'm very interested in CDC, change their capture. So just
Mhm.
recently, the Flink CDC project graduated to the Apache Foundation itself. So it's now an Apache project and part
Mhm.
of, I should say, it's part of the Flink project. So I'm definitely excited about talks on Flink CDC, how it integrates with Debezium. I'm very much looking forward to anything talking about Flink 2.0, so which I think will give us lots of interesting, cleanup optimizations, just maybe getting rid of some old baggage. So this should be exciting. And then of course there's like more specific stuff like I know this two-phase transaction integration with Kafka. I'm very excited about
Mm.
that. The disaggregated state storage. So there's quite a few very specific topics, which I would hope people will submit talks on, and then I will definitely vote for them if they pick my interest, and I would love to see them at the conference.
Oh, great, exciting stuff. And as an open source advocate, how do you see events like Flink Forward contributing to broader open source community?
Right. I mean, I think it's always a little bit like a class reunion, right? So those open source projects like Flink, they are typically developed in like globally distributed communities. People interact a lot online via mailing lists, via chat, maybe on Twitter or social media. And then it's always nice to actually get together in person and connect the dots, right? Get maybe learn the faces behind those email addresses. So I think it's just a great bonding experience for everybody. So for the Flink community itself, but then also for users, maybe they don't contribute to Flink, but they are actively using it. So it's nice for them to get to talk to the Flink maintainers and vice versa. So for somebody like me, like working on the Debezium or people working on Flink, it's always great to get in front of people and learn how they actually are using those projects and products. And oftentimes you're surprised, right? So you develop something with a specific mental picture, a mental model, and then you learn how people actually are using this stuff, and it might not be what you had intended to, and then it's always very interesting to find out about this. And finally, I would say, well, there's always what we would call the hallway track. So not even going to a session, just being, I don't know, in the expo area, being well in the hallway of the venue, and just meeting people. I think this is oftentimes where the most interesting conversations happen.
Yeah, definitely. I think that core of like networking is so invaluable, that it's, yeah, one of those things where you really come together and to share those ideas and bounce ideas off it really
Right.
starts. It's really super interesting to see.
Absolutely, yes.
Um, my next question is, so thinking about maybe someone who might be new to Apache Flink, or just kind of just getting started, that might be interested to share a talk or topic that hasn't before. Is there any tips and tricks you can give to someone who may feel intimidated by the process, before submitting a talk?
Right. I mean, there's a few angles you could think about when you are really early into your own Flink journey. So one of them is just describing your learning experience. And I mean, if you are this person, you're not the first and you're not the only person who is about to learn Flink or any other open source project, right? And I mean, let's be honest, oftentimes documentation isn't as good as perfect as we would like it to be. So just if somebody goes and describes, okay, this is how I set out and wanted to learn, and then maybe I ran into those particular issues, and this is how I overcame them. This is, I think, a very valuable perspective. So, it's geared towards other beginners, and I think that's very helpful content. But then also, yeah, maybe you have then gone a step further. You have used Flink for solving your specific problems, the use cases of your company. And that's always very interesting then to learn about those, right? Because people are always very, very eager to learn, oh, how did other people employ those tools? And maybe they're in a similar situation as I am, and then I can benefit from their experiences.
Definitely. I think some like paradigm shifts and different ways of looking at things can really give a whole new perspective on how we can integrate Apache Flink or any streaming
Right,
data use cases
right.
or practices for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Um,
And I mean, that's also maybe if you are coming from another ecosystem, right? So maybe you have Spark experience or
right.
Kafka Streams experience. And then you could talk, oh, how
Absolutely.
do those concepts compare? And maybe just the terminology, like, that's a global K table in Kafka Streams, and what's
Mhm.
the counterpart in Flink? So this sort of content would be super useful.
Right. Is there any like particular personal circumstances you've had yourself with new entrants to the industry or newcomers that kind of opened your mind to a different way of using Apache Flink or any streaming data platform?
Yeah, so one of the things I'm very interested about is how people can use tools like Flink for ingesting transactional data coming from a database. So, thinking again about Debezium and capturing changes out of a database like MySQL or Postgres, the applications which write to this database, they use transactions, and it means multiple changes will have like atomic visibility guarantees, for instance. And it would be very interesting to see how we can go about implementing this sort of transactional awareness in a system like Flink. I think some people have built something there in-house. I've seen a conference talk at Flink Forward a couple of years ago. So I would be eager to learn more about this in the open upstream Flink community. I mean, I think it comes back a little bit to what we spoke about before. So it always should be what is somebody who is coming to your talk? What are they taking away, right? What are their learnings? And I think that's the key thing. And now, when I say learnings, I wouldn't say a talk should convey too much factual like reference implementation, right? So for instance, I don't think it makes a good talk if you go through all the 50 options of the Kafka Flink connector, right? Nobody is going to remember this from a talk. And if they just go to the documentation or maybe a blog post, any sort of written asset, it will be much more suitable for this kind of very specific knowledge transfer. Whereas I think for a talk, the better approach is to talk about an idea, right? And just implant some idea into people's minds, and then maybe they go back to work and they can then connect and think, oh man, I encountered this particular issue and I just learned at the conference how they solved this there. And then they would maybe this talk would just be the igniting point for then learning more about it. So I think this could already be a very successful talk.
Awesome stuff. That's really insightful. Thank you. What else would you hope attendees will take away to remember most about Flink Forward after the conference is concluded?
Well, I would definitely hope they learn what's about, happening in the community. I would hope they can make new personal connections, get to meet either other committers, other users, maybe make some new friends, and just have a good time of the conference. At the conference, I would say, all this like factual knowledge transfer and like all those hard facts, that's maybe half of the reason why you could go to a conference. But then all this going, connecting with people, maybe just going to the expo area and learn about specific products, it's also interesting. So there's so many reasons to be there, and I hope people will have a great time at the event.
Absolutely. I think there's from like the many multiple dates that we've got covering from 21 to 24 October in Berlin this year. It's so much I think people can take away of what they're looking for. So really excited as well to review all those call for papers, or at least from my end to see them once the team has reviewed them. So any other key takeaways or things you want to add for people looking to submit a call for paper, sorry?
I know, just submit something which excites you, which you think would be also exciting to others. And I mean, you can always reach out to people on the program committee. I think many there will be happy to help you craft your abstracts, or maybe take an informal glance at an idea you have. I mean, personally, I'm happy to do that. And then, I think you will have good chances to submit for that CFP.
Perfect. Well, everyone that's listening and interested in putting forward a call for paper, there's still time to get your talk in, and our program committee members are excited and eagerly waiting to review your talks and also see you at Flink Forward this October.
Yeah.
Thank
and
you
I need
so
to
much
get my talk in, actually.
Sorry?
So that's a good reminder. I still need to get my own talk in, actually.
Oh, okay. That's exciting. Nice. You're very busy then.
Yeah. Thanks for the reminder.
No problem.
Awesome. Cool. See you then.